All right, so today we're diving into some pretty fascinating places.
Okay.
Along the Godavari River in India.
Oh, cool.
We're talking about places where death was supposedly defied, secret knowledge was shared, and even the king of the gods needed some sort of like cosmic cleansing ritual.
You mean purification?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Purification.
Right.
Intrigued.
Absolutely. It's not just intriguing, though, right? These stories are found in the Brahma Purana, specifically those excerpts you share from Brahma Purana 46.3. It really gives us a glimpse into how people thought about, the divine, their role in the universe and these powerful rituals that we're talking about.
Exactly. So we're going to jump right in, starting with our first stop, Shvet Tirth.
Okay.
Imagine this, a Brahmin named Shvet, completely dedicated to worshiping Sho. I mean, like the ultimate devotee.
And that devotion, it becomes his shield.
Oh, yeah.
Even Yama, the god of death, couldn't touch him because of it.
But hold on, even Yama's messengers couldn't get close. Shiva's protection was like a force field around Shvet's home. It's almost like, what kind of devotion creates that kind of power?
Yeah. It's definitely a powerful image.
Right.
And in Hinduism, the idea that genuine devotion can overcome even death, it's a core concept.
So it's not just about saying a bunch of prayers, right? It's like this deep, unwavering connection to the divine.
Yeah. You said it.
So it's not about avoiding death, but like living a life that's so aligned with your devotion that death has to respect it.
Yeah. That's one way to look at it for
Yeah.
sure. But the story doesn't end there.
Okay, where does it go?
Well, Yama himself shows up ready to do his, cosmic duty, and things escalate quickly when Shiva's guardian steps in Bhairava.
Yeah, what happens?
Oh, it gets intense.
Okay.
Bhairava basically takes down the god of death.
Whoa.
Yama falls powerless, and suddenly the whole cosmic order is thrown off balance. Even the sun god is freaking out. It's a big deal.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Do you think this whole battle was inevitable, though? Like, given Shiva's, devotion to protecting his devotees?
I mean, it really highlights how powerful this devotion is. And you also see the balance of the universe being threatened.
Right, if death can't do its job.
Exactly. Everything falls apart.
So then what happens?
Well, the gods have to plead with Shiva to bring Yama back to life. After all, without death, there is no rebirth, no balance.
Right. It all makes sense.
But Shiva doesn't revive him unconditionally.
Oh, of course not.
He uses this as an opportunity to lay down the law.
Okay, so he's basically saying, touch my devotees and there will be consequences.
Well, it was a bit more eloquent than that. But yes, essentially, true devotees of Shiva and Vishnu are beyond death as long as they live righteously and engage in practices like bathing in the Godavari.
So that's where the Godavari River comes in.
Right. It's not just any river.
It's special.
It's sacred. It's believed to have these purifying power. It's like a spiritual reset button.
Oh, I like that.
It's a big deal in Hinduism. Bathing in its waters washes away negativity and sin. And in this story, it's a way to maintain the protection that Shiva grants.
So the river becomes a symbol of Shiva's protection.
Exactly.
And the spot where Yama fell, that's now called Mritu Tirth.
Uh-huh.
And that's a place where people perform rituals to cleanse themselves.
Yeah. It's amazing how these stories become embedded in the landscape itself.
It's like a living memory.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but now let's shift gears and head over to Shukra Tirth.
Right.
This one's about the pursuit of knowledge, and it features Shukra, a young scholar who is feeling a little jaded, let's say.
Yeah, he's disillusioned by his guru and decides he's going to seek out the best teacher imaginable, Shiva.
Wait a minute, Shiva has a teacher?
Well, not the traditional sense, but it's more about highlighting the importance of lifelong learning.
Right.
Always seeking wisdom. Even gods, in this context.
They can learn and grow, too.
Absolutely.
It's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
It's like even someone as powerful as Shiva recognizes there's always more to learn.
It's inspiring.
Right? So what happens next?
Well, what's interesting about Shukra's journey is it's not like he just bumps into Shiva.
Right.
He goes on this whole adventure guided by the sage Gautama. And it all culminates with this sincere prayer to Shiva. It's not about showing off or boasting. It's about humility.
That's a good point.
Recognizing your own limitations.
I like that. What do you think Shiva's response says about learning?
I think it shows that true learning isn't about power or status.
Yeah.
It's about approaching knowledge with genuine desire to grow and learn. And Shiva is impressed by Shukra's sincerity.
Okay.
And he grants him the secret of Mitkrit Sanjivani Vidya.
Okay, remind me what that is again?
The knowledge to revive the dead.
Oh, wow.
Not even the other gods knew this secret. It's powerful and exclusive.
So Shukra goes from feeling disillusioned to having this knowledge that could literally change life and death.
Yeah, it's a big turn of events.
It is. Why would Shiva, the god of destruction, give someone the knowledge to revive the dead?
That's a great question.
Right.
It really makes you think. It adds another layer of complexity.
It does, you know.
Because Shukra becomes the guru of the Asuras.
Who are the Asuras?
They're basically the rivals of the gods, often depicted as these powerful beings driven by ambition and desire.
Okay.
They represent a kind of chaotic force in the universe.
So giving them the power to revive the dead, that's pretty risky.
It really challenges the whole good versus evil narrative.
Yeah, it's not so black and white.
Not at all. And that's what makes these stories so interesting.
I agree. It reminds us not to take things at face value. There's always more to the story.
Definitely. And speaking of the story, the place where this knowledge was given to Shukra, it's known as Shukra Tirth,
Okay.
also called Merit Sanjivani Tirth.
Which reflects the power of what happened there.
Exactly.
And people believe that performing rituals at this site can actually grant longevity and health.
Right.
It's like the story is literally woven into the fabric of that place.
It's amazing how these narratives shape our understanding of the world and give significance to certain places.
Okay, so we've had a story about defying death through devotion, one about obtaining incredible knowledge through humility. Now, what about our third stop, Indra Tirth? What's in store for us there?
This one dives into the theme of atonement and purification. And it features none other than Indra, king of the gods.
Oh, wow. So even the king of the gods needed purification.
Well, even gods aren't above karmic law. You see, in this story, Indra is being pursued by Brahmahatya.
Okay. Okay.
It's the consequence of killing a Brahmin.
A Brahmin. Okay. And why is that such a big deal?
Brahmins are the priestly caste in Hinduism. They hold a highly respected position in society. Killing a Brahmin, even if they've become a demon, is considered a major offense.
So even though it was a demon Indra killed, he's still in trouble.
Absolutely. Brahmahatya is this powerful, inescapable curse. It relentlessly hunts down the perpetrator.
Oh, wow. So there's no hiding from karma?
Nope. So what does the king of the gods do?
Yeah, what does he do?
He hides.
He hides, really?
Can you imagine the mighty Indra reduced to cowering in a lake? It's not exactly heroic.
So even the most powerful beings are subject to the laws of karma.
Exactly. No one is exempt from cause and effect. So while he's in hiding, the other gods realize they have a problem. They need their king back.
Right.
But this curse is pretty powerful.
So what do?
They devise a plan, a grand purification ritual. And where do they hold it?
Let me guess. The Godavari.
You got it.
Of course. So the Godavari isn't just about protection from death.
Right.
It's also about cleansing and renewal.
Exactly. The waters are believed to wash away even the most potent sins. It's a symbol of spiritual rebirth.
Wow. So did it work?
Oh, yeah. It's a powerful symbol. But what I find interesting is that the purification doesn't start at the Godavari.
Oh, really? Where does it start?
The first stage happens at the Narmada River. The region where this initial ritual takes place actually becomes known as Malwa because of the cleansing of Indra's mala, which means impurity.
So the name of the region itself is tied to this ritual.
Exactly. It shows how these stories and the landscape are so intertwined.
Well, but the main event, the grand purification, that's at the Godavari, right?
That's right.
Okay, well, what was that like?
Imagine a huge gathering of gods and sages, all assembled on the banks of the river. Even Brahma himself is there, presiding over the ritual. It's a massive display of cosmic support.
Wow. So it's not just a personal thing, it's a whole cosmic event.
Exactly. Everyone is invested in bringing their king back to his rightful place.
So why the Godavari? What's so special about it?
Well, it's fascinating because two rivers converge at this spot.
Okay.
One is pure water and the other carries sand. It's a symbol of the merging of purity and the material world.
Right.
This interplay of the spiritual and the physical.
That's so cool. And what's this place called?
This site is known as Indra Tirth, also called Punya Sangam, meaning the confluence of merits.
Confluence of merits. I like that.
Yeah.
And is that where people go to perform rituals today?
Yes. It's believed that rituals performed there are especially potent.
Wow. So we have Shvet Tirth, a place of defying death.
Yes.
Shukra Tirth, where incredible knowledge is gained. And Indra Tirth, a place of purification and atonement.
It's incredible, isn't it? Each site offers a glimpse into the heart of these ancient beliefs.
It is. What strikes you as we kind of move through these stories?
What strikes me is how they all tap into these universal human desires.
Oh, yeah. Like
we crave protection, we seek knowledge, we long for cleansing and redemption.
We do. It's like these stories are giving us a language to talk about the big existential questions.
Exactly. They offer a framework for understanding our place in the cosmos and facing the challenges of being human.
Right, like with Shvet Tirth, it's not just about one man's extreme devotion. It speaks to our shared fear of death and this longing for something beyond this life.
Absolutely.
Like we're all seeking our own version of Shvet Tirth, a place of ultimate safety.
It's a powerful image, and it connects to this idea of karma, which we see play out so clearly in Indra's story.
Oh, yeah. Even the king of the gods isn't exempt from the laws of karma.
He's forced to face the consequences of his actions regardless of his status or his justifications.
It really underscores that karma doesn't play favorites.
No one is above the universal law of cause and effect. It's about accountability, owning up to our mistakes.
But even when we mess up, there's still a chance for redemption, right?
Absolutely. And that's where the Godavari comes back into play. Not just as a physical river, but as a symbol of spiritual cleansing and renewal.
Like a cosmic reset button.
Exactly. We can wash away past transgressions and emerge renewed. And this ties into this bigger theme of purification, which is so important in Hindu thought.
Yeah, I can see that. From daily rituals to grand ceremonies, this act of purifying ourselves, removing impurities physically and mentally, it's seen as crucial for spiritual growth.
Exactly. And these stories go beyond the outward rituals.
Right.
They point toward an inner transformation, a conscious effort to let go of negativity and embrace things like compassion and understanding.
So it's about cultivating a purity of heart and mind.
Exactly. And when we do that, it allows us to navigate the world with clarity and purpose.
I like that. So we've got devotion, knowledge, karma, and purification.
All these themes woven together to paint a picture of human experience.
What does it all mean for us?
That's the big question, isn't it? How do we take these ancient stories and apply them to our own lives?
That's what we're here to explore.
Exactly. It's an invitation to reflect. How do we cultivate true devotion in our lives? What knowledge do we seek, and how do we use it responsibly? How do we own up to our mistakes and seek forgiveness? How do we purify ourselves to live a life of meaning and purpose?
Powerful questions.
They are. And they highlight the fact that these stories aren't just relics of the past. They're living traditions that offer timeless wisdom for navigating the complexities of being human.
They remind us that connecting with something greater than ourselves, seeking knowledge and understanding, acting with integrity and compassion, and striving for purity and renewal, it's all part of the journey.
And maybe most importantly, they remind us that transformation is always within reach.
We have the power to shape our own destinies and create a life filled with purpose and meaning.
The Godavari River, with its sacred waters and these stories that have been passed down for generations, becomes the symbol of the potential for change within each of us.
That's a beautiful thought. It's amazing how a river can hold so much meaning and history.
It is, and by immersing ourselves in these stories, we can tap into a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe.
It's a testament to the power of myth and ritual to connect us to something bigger than ourselves. So far, we've explored these stories in the context of Hinduism, but they feel like they hold universal truths that resonate beyond any one culture or religion.
I agree. The themes of devotion, knowledge, karma, purification, they're not exclusive to Hinduism.
They speak to the human experience as a whole.
Exactly. And that's what makes them so powerful. They transcend boundaries of time and culture, offering insights that are relevant for everyone.
It makes you wonder if these stories are more than just stories, right? Like they're echoes of something deeper, something that connects us all.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're a reflection of the collective unconscious.
Wow.
The shared well of wisdom that we can all tap into.
I love that. It makes me appreciate these narratives even more.
Me too. These stories are gifts from the past, offerings of wisdom and insight that can guide us on our own journeys.
So how do we as modern listeners bridge the gap between these ancient stories and our own lives?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing the universality of these themes.
Right. Even though the stories come from a specific culture and religion, the underlying messages are something we can all relate to.
Exactly. The yearning for protection, the search for knowledge, the need for atonement, the desire for transformation. These are all part of being human.
We all experience those things.
Yeah.
And by seeing those parallels, we can start to understand how these teachings can inform our choices, our relationships, and our understanding of the world.
It's not about blindly adopting ancient beliefs.
Right.
It's about finding the threads that connect us, the shared human experiences that bind us together across time and cultures.
So it's about finding those universal truths that speak to our hearts and minds.
Exactly. Regardless of our backgrounds.
It's like we're having a conversation across the ages.
I like that.
These stories are speaking to us, and we have the opportunity to respond, to engage with them, and find meaning and guidance in their wisdom.
And by doing that, we enrich our own lives, but we also help to keep these traditions alive.
So as we kind of move towards our final thoughts,
Hmm.
what are some practical ways we can integrate these ancient teachings into our modern lives?
Well, one way is to look for the symbolic meaning behind the stories.
Okay.
For example, we've talked a lot about the Godavari River.
Right.
It's more than just a physical river. It represents purification and transformation.
So how can we bring that symbolism into our lives?
Maybe it's about finding our own personal Godavari,
Okay.
a practice or a ritual that helps us cleanse and renew
I
ourselves.
like that. So like meditation, spending time in nature, acts of kindness, things that help us connect with something larger than ourselves.
Exactly. And it reminds us that we don't have to physically travel to these sacred sites to experience their power. We can create our own sacred spaces and rituals.
That's a good point. What about devotion and knowledge? How do those fit into our modern lives?
Well, cultivating devotion doesn't have to be about worshiping a specific deity.
Okay.
It could be about finding something you believe in wholeheartedly, something that inspires you and gives you a sense of purpose, whether it's your family, your community, a cause you're passionate about. Directing your energy and focus towards something meaningful, that can be a powerful form of devotion.
And knowledge.
Knowledge is all around us. It's in books, it's in nature, it's in the people we meet. The key is to approach it with a genuine desire to learn and grow with that same humility that Shukra showed when he went to Shiva.
So it's not about being a know-it-all. It's about cultivating a thirst for understanding, a willingness to keep learning and growing.
You got it. And finally, there's karma.
Yeah. How do we understand karma in a way that's empowering and not scary?
It's about recognizing that our actions have consequences, but not in a punitive way.
Right.
It's about understanding that the choices we make today shape the world we create for ourselves and for others.
So it's about taking responsibility for our actions.
Exactly, but also about embracing the possibility of redemption. Just like Indra was cleansed and given a fresh start, we too have the power to change course, to make amends and create a better future.
So these stories aren't just ancient tales, they're living guides for navigating the human experience.
I love that.
They remind us that we have the power to create positive change, to live a life that has meaning and purpose, and to leave a positive mark on the world.
Powerful stuff.
It is. And these stories, they offer so much wisdom and inspiration.
They do.
Even in the face of challenges, we have the potential to grow, to transform, and ultimately connect with something greater than ourselves.
The Godavari River, with its sacred waters and these enduring stories it carries, it's a symbol of that potential for change within each of us.
What a powerful thought. It's really a testament to the power of myth and ritual.
It is. They connect us to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah, okay, so we've talked about the stories, the cultural context, and the modern significance of these three sacred sites on the Godavari River.
What do you think are some key takeaways from all of this?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is this idea of the interconnectedness of geography and spirituality.
I agree. The land itself becomes a canvas for these narratives.
And these specific locations are filled with meaning and power.
Right. And the Godavari River, with its purifying waters, it's a central character in these stories.
Yeah, it symbolizes the power of faith and ritual.
And the stories themselves. They teach us valuable lessons about devotion,
Right.
the pursuit of knowledge, and the importance of seeking atonement and purification.
They offer a framework for understanding where we fit in the universe and our relationship with the divine.
And it's important to remember that these stories aren't just ancient myths.
Right.
They're living traditions that continue to impact people's lives today.
They remind us of the power of storytelling to convey wisdom and inspire faith and connect us to something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
From all of this, what stands out most to you?
The emphasis on transformation is really powerful. Each site represents a different type of transformation. Shvet's defiance of death through his devotion, Shukra's acquisition of forbidden knowledge, and Indra's purification through ritual. It reminds us that transformation is a continuous process, something we can all strive for in our own lives.
I love that. It's also worth noting the importance of pilgrimage in these stories. The act of traveling to these sacred sites is seen as transformative in itself.
Yes, it's a physical and spiritual journey, a way of connecting with these stories and seeking blessings and guidance.
It's like by retracing the steps of these mythical figures, we can tap into their wisdom and experience our own personal transformation.
Exactly. It reminds us that the spiritual journey can also be a very physical one.
So these stories aren't just about what happened in the past.
They're about what can happen to us right now.
Right. They offer a roadmap for our own journeys, encouraging us to seek devotion, knowledge, and purification.
And they remind us that transformation is always possible no matter who we are or what we've done.
The Godavari River, with its sacred waters and enduring stories, serves as a powerful symbol of that potential for change within each of us.
It's a beautiful thought, isn't it, that a river can hold so much meaning and history?
It is. And by immersing ourselves in these stories, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves in the universe.
It's a testament to the power of myth and ritual to connect us to something greater than ourselves.
Okay, so we've explored the stories, the cultural context, and the modern significance of these three sacred sites.
Where do we go from here?
What do you say we delve into the deeper symbolism and philosophical implications of these narratives next?
I think that's an excellent idea. We've touched on devotion, knowledge, and purification, but there's so much more to unpack.
I'm with you. Let's dive in. All right, so we've taken this journey to these three incredible sites on the Godavari Shwet Tirth, Shukra Tirth, and Indra Tirth. Each story has its own unique feel, but they all seem to touch on these big universal themes.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these stories, even though they're rooted in this ancient mythology, they grapple with human anxieties.
Oh, yeah.
Like what? Fear of death, the thirst for knowledge and control, the weight of guilt, and the need for redemption.
It's like these myths give us a language to talk about those really big questions that we all face at some point, you know?
Exactly. They provide this framework for understanding our place in the universe and how to face the challenges of being human.
It's like in the story of Shwet Tirth. It's not just about one guy's extreme devotion. It speaks to that shared fear of death and the longing for something more.
Absolutely. It suggests that through a genuine connection with the divine, we can find peace and maybe even transcend those physical limitations.
But it's not just about escaping death, right? It's about living a life that's worthy of protection, a life that's lived in a righteous way.
It emphasizes aligning our actions with our beliefs
So living in a way that honors something bigger than ourselves.
and contributing to the well-being of others.
So it's not about earning a spot in heaven,
Yeah.
but about bringing heaven down to earth through the way we live.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it's all connected to this idea of karma. Our actions have consequences both in this life and beyond.
So Shwet Tirth is a reminder to live intentionally, knowing that our choices have consequences.
It's a cosmic responsibility.
Okay, but what about Shukra's story? What about that thirst for knowledge?
Well, Shukra's story is fascinating because it suggests that knowledge is a powerful force, even more so than brute strength or divine authority.
But it's not just about hoarding knowledge, right? It's about using it wisely and ethically.
Exactly. And the fact that Shukra becomes the guru of the Asuras really adds another layer to this.
Right, because the Asuras, they're often depicted as ambitious and a little bit chaotic.
Right, giving them the power to revive the dead. It's a risky move, to say the least.
It definitely blurs the lines between good and evil. Makes you wonder who the good guys and bad guys really are.
It reinforces the idea that knowledge, even incredibly powerful knowledge, is a double-edged sword.
It can be used for good or for bad.
Its impact depends entirely on the intentions of the one who wields it.
It's a powerful reminder that even in these ancient stories, things aren't always black and white.
Definitely. There's a lot of moral ambiguity. And that complexity continues in the story of Indra.
Right.
Here we have the king of the gods, seemingly at the height of his power, brought low by his actions.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Even the king of the gods has to answer for his choices.
He can't escape the laws of karma, no matter his status or justifications.
It really drives home the point that actions have consequences.
No one is above the universal law of cause and effect.
It's about taking responsibility for our actions.
And it also opens the door to the possibility of redemption.
So even when we make mistakes.
There's a chance to make things right, to cleanse ourselves and start fresh.
And that's where the Godavari River comes in again.
Yeah.
Not just as a physical river, but as a symbol of spiritual cleansing and renewal.
Like a cosmic reset button.
We can wash away past mistakes and start over.
Exactly. And this ties into the broader theme of purification, which is so central to Hindu thought.
From daily rituals to those big ceremonies, purification is seen as vital for spiritual growth.
It's about removing those impurities both physically and mentally.
But these stories go beyond just the outward rituals, right?
Yes, they point towards a deeper inner transformation.
Oh, okay.
A conscious effort to let go of negativity and embrace things like compassion and understanding.
So it's about cultivating a purity of heart and mind.
Exactly. And when we do that, it helps us to move through the world with clarity and purpose.
Okay, so we've got devotion, knowledge, karma, and purification, All these themes are connected.
Yeah, they're all intertwined, creating this rich tapestry of human experience.
So how do we take all of this and apply it to our own lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
It's an invitation for us to reflect on our own lives.
Yeah.
How do we cultivate true devotion? What kind of knowledge do we seek? And how do we use it responsibly? How do we own up to our mistakes and find forgiveness? How do we purify ourselves to live a meaningful life?
Those are some big questions.
They are, and they remind us that these stories aren't just ancient myths.
There's something more.
They're living traditions that offer guidance for navigating the complexities of life,
Right. They remind us to connect with something bigger than ourselves,
to seek knowledge and understanding,
to act with integrity and compassion.
and to strive for purity and renewal.
And maybe, most importantly, they remind us that transformation is always possible.
We have the power to shape our lives and create a future filled with meaning and purpose.
The Godavari River, with its sacred waters and these ancient stories, becomes a symbol of our potential for change.
It's a beautiful image.
It is. And by immersing ourselves in these stories, we can better understand ourselves and our place in the universe.
It's a reminder of the power of these myths and rituals to connect us to something greater than ourselves.
So far, we've explored these stories in the context of Hinduism.
But they feel relevant beyond any one culture or religion.
Right. The themes of devotion, knowledge, karma, and purification, they're not unique to one tradition,
They're universal.
part of the human experience.
Exactly. And that's what makes them so compelling. They speak to everyone, regardless of background or belief.
It makes you wonder if these stories are more than just stories,
Mm-hmm.
like they're echoes of something deeper, something that connects us all.
Perhaps they are. Maybe they're a reflection of the collective unconscious,
Wow.
a shared wellspring of wisdom that we all have access to.
I love that. It makes me appreciate these stories on a whole new level.
Me too. These stories are truly gifts, offering us wisdom and guidance for our own journeys.
So how do we as modern listeners bridge the gap between these ancient stories and our lives?
I think it starts with recognizing that these themes are universal.
Right. Even though they come from a specific tradition, the underlying messages are something we all experience.
Exactly. The longing for protection, the search for knowledge, the need for atonement, the desire for transformation. These are all part of being human.
And by recognizing those parallels, we can see how these teachings can guide our own lives.
It's not about adopting these ancient beliefs blindly.
Right.
It's about finding the threads that connect us, the shared experiences that bind us together across time and cultures.
So it's about finding those universal truths that speak to all of us.
Exactly, regardless of our backgrounds.
It's like we're having a conversation across the ages.
That's a great way to put it.
These stories are speaking to us, and we have the opportunity to respond, to engage with them, and to find meaning in their wisdom.
And by doing so, we not only enrich our own lives, but also keep these traditions alive for future generations.
So as we move towards wrapping up,
Uh-huh.
what are some ways that we can actually take these teachings and apply them to our modern lives?
One way is to look for the deeper meaning behind the stories.
Okay.
For example, we've talked a lot about the Godavari River.
Right.
It represents more than just a physical body of water. It represents purification and transformation.
So how do we bring that into our own lives?
Maybe it's about finding our own personal Godavari,
Great.
a practice or a ritual that helps us to cleanse and renew.
Like meditation or spending time in nature or maybe acts of service.
Exactly. We don't have to literally go to these sacred sites to experience their power.
Right. We can create our own sacred spaces and rituals.
What about devotion and knowledge? How do those fit in?
Yeah. How can we apply those in a modern context?
Well, cultivating devotion doesn't have to be about worshiping a specific god or goddess.
Yeah.
It could be about finding something that you truly believe in, something that inspires you and gives you a sense of purpose, whether it's your family, your community, a cause you're passionate about. That can be a powerful form of devotion.
Okay. And what about knowledge?
Knowledge is everywhere. It's in books, it's in nature, it's in the people we meet. The key is to approach it with a genuine desire to learn and grow, just like Shukra did when he approached Shiva.
So it's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being open to learning and growing.
Absolutely. And then there's the idea of karma.
Right. That can be a tough one.
It can,
Yeah.
but how do we make it feel empowering and not something to be afraid of?
Yeah.
It's about understanding that our actions have consequences, but it's not about punishment. It's about understanding that the choices we make today shape the world around us,
So taking responsibility for our actions.
but also embracing the possibility of redemption. Just like Indra was able to cleanse himself and start fresh, we have the power to change our course. make amends, and create a better future.
So these stories aren't just ancient tales. They're guides for navigating life.
I love that.
They remind us that we have the power to make a positive difference in the world.
That's powerful.
It is. And these stories, they offer so much wisdom and inspiration.
Definitely.
They remind us that even when things are tough, we still have the potential to grow, to transform, and to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
And the Godavari River, with its sacred waters and ancient stories, it symbolizes that potential for change within each of us.
What a powerful thought.
It really is. It's a testament to the power of myth and ritual to connect us to something greater.
Okay, so we've talked about the stories, the cultural context, and the modern significance of these three sacred sites on the Godavari River.
So what are some key takeaways from all of this?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is this connection between geography and spirituality.
The land itself becomes infused with the power of these narratives.
And these specific locations become charged with meaning.
And the Godavari River, with its purifying waters, plays a central role in all of this.
It represents the transformative power of faith and ritual.
And the stories themselves, they offer valuable lessons about devotion, the pursuit of knowledge, and the importance of seeking atonement and purification.
They give us a framework for understanding our place in the universe.
And it's important to remember that these aren't just ancient myths.
They're still relevant today.
These are living traditions that continue to shape people's lives.
They remind us of the power of stories to pass on wisdom and to connect us to something larger than ourselves.
Powerful stuff.
So what stands out to you the most?
The emphasis on transformation. Each site represents a different kind of transformation. Shvet's defiance of death, Shukra's gaining of forbidden knowledge, and Indra's purification. It reminds us that transformation is an ongoing process, something we can all strive for.
I love that. And the importance of pilgrimage. It's seen as a transformative act in itself.
It's a physical and spiritual journey, a way to connect with these stories and to seek guidance.
Like by following in the footsteps of these figures, we can tap into their wisdom and experience our own transformation.
It reminds us that the spiritual journey is also a very physical one.
So these stories, they're not just about the past.
They're about what's possible for us right now.
They offer a roadmap for our own journeys, encouraging us to seek devotion, knowledge, and purification.
And reminding us that transformation is always possible, no matter who we are or what we've done.
The Godavari River, with its sacred waters and its timeless stories, serves as a powerful symbol of that potential for change within each of us.
It really is a beautiful thought that a river can hold so much meaning in history.
It is. And by immersing ourselves in these stories, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe.
It's a testament to the power of these myths and rituals.
It connects us to something larger than ourselves. Okay, so we've explored the stories, the cultural context, and the modern significance of these three sacred sites.
Yeah.
What do you say we dive into the deeper symbolism and philosophical implications of these narratives next?
I think that's a great idea. We've only scratched the surface of these themes like devotion, knowledge, and purification. There's so much more to uncover.
I'm ready when you are. It's amazing how these stories, even though they're thousands of years old, can still feel so relevant today.
It's the power of myth.
Oh, yeah.
These stories connect us to something bigger than ourselves. They offer a glimpse into those timeless questions that we all face.
Exactly. Like in the story of Shvedtirth. On the surface, it's about a man whose devotion is so powerful that even death can't touch him.
Right.
But it goes deeper than that, doesn't it?
It taps into that universal human fear of death
Yeah.
and the desire for something more.
Like we're all searching for our own Shvedtirth, a place of ultimate safety and peace.
Maybe that place isn't a physical location.
Right.
Maybe it's a state of being, a way of living that aligns with our deepest values and helps us transcend those fears.
That's powerful. And it connects to the idea of karma, which we see play out in Indra's story.
Absolutely. Even the king of the gods can't escape the consequences of his actions.
It's a reminder that we're all accountable for our choices.
No matter our status or position.
But it's not about punishment.
No, it's about understanding the connection between our actions and the consequences.
Cause and effect.
Exactly. Karma is about balance and growth, learning from our mistakes and making choices that create harmony.
So these stories are like guideposts,
Offering us a way to navigate the complexities of life.
and reminding us to make choices that align with our best selves.
They provide a framework for ethical living, making decisions that benefit ourselves and the world around us. And they remind us that even when we make mistakes, there's always a path back to wholeness.
That's where purification comes in. It's not just about outward rituals. It's about this inner cleansing letting go of negativity, guilt, and those patterns that hold us back.
It's about making space for growth and renewal.
So maybe we each have our own Gadavari, so to speak,
Oh, yeah,
a practice or a ritual that helps us purify and cleanse ourselves.
absolutely. Whether it's meditation, spending time in nature, acts of service, anything that helps us wash away the negative and connect with something greater.
So what about this quest for knowledge?
Hmm.
The theme we see in Shukra's story. How does that translate to our lives today?
Well, we live in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information.
That's for sure.
But true knowledge, the kind that Shukra is after, it's not just about facts. It's about understanding wisdom and applying that knowledge for good.
So how do we filter through all that noise and find what's truly valuable?
It's about being discerning, seeking out knowledge that helps us grow, evolve, and contribute to a better world.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into these sacred sites along the Godavari River, what are your final thoughts?
These stories are more than just ancient myths. They're reflections of the human experience, offering us wisdom on how to navigate life's challenges.
They remind us to cultivate devotion, to seek knowledge, and to understand that our actions have consequences.
And to strive for purification both internally and externally.
They really highlight the interconnectedness of everything.
Our choices have an impact that reaches far beyond ourselves.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But that's what I love about these stories. They encourage us to look deeper, to explore these themes in our own lives and find our own meaning.
They offer a framework for living a more fulfilling life, connecting with something bigger than ourselves and creating a world that reflects our values.
Well said. As we go about our day, let's think about the echoes of these stories in our own lives.
Yes. Where do you see the themes of devotion, knowledge, karma, and purification showing up?
And what choices can you make that align with those timeless principles?
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the wisdom that's all around us.
Thanks for joining us.